Hello, friends, and welcome into Outreach Radio Chicago. I'm your host, Michael Mercado, and I want to thank you so much for making us a part of your day. On today's show, we have the co-author of The Ultimate Guide to Student Loans, Bruce Mesnikoff, joins us and gives us some helpful hints on how you can beat and get out of your student debt. With over $1 trillion accounted for of student debt in the United States when it comes to loans, it's a big problem. Families suffer from it, students suffer from it. The way the job market is, there's no guarantee you get a job out of college. So what are you going to do when you owe all that money? Well, on today's show, we find out about programs and different resources that can help you get out of this debt. You cannot ignore this stuff. If you do, the government will come after your wages. They will find ways to take their money. Student loans aren't even forgiven by bankruptcy. So this is a problem that will not go away. So if you're suffering from high student loan debt, this is a show for you. As Bruce Mesnikoff joins us today, give us some awesome information about how you can defeat and lower your student loans. You can follow me everywhere in the universe. I'm on Twitter at mmercado2333. Like the radio show on Facebook at Outreach Radio Chicago. Subscribe to us on YouTube /MikeMercado2333. And download any past show on SoundCloud. Just look up Michael Mercado. Bruce Mesnikoff joins us next on Outreach Radio Chicago. Do you want to help the fight against hunger? You can this Friday, April 15th at the Little Street Arts Center in Ravenswood. Hosted by First Slice Pie Cafe, 4401 North Ravenswood, Chicago, Illinois. It's Empty Bowls from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. You receive an empty bowl like many plates across the country. But by the end of the night, it is filled. The donations go towards their outreach program that currently serves up to 600 meals a week to those in need. Each meal is served in a handcrafted bowl made by local potters and artisans. The bowls are $25, and each guest can take their bowl home as a reminder of their personal impact in supporting Chicago's fight against hunger. There will also be a silent auction. That's Friday, April 15th at the Little Street Arts Center in Ravenswood. Hosted by First Slice Pie Cafe, 4401 North Ravenswood, Chicago, Illinois. From 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Empty Bowls, helping the fight against hunger. Like the radio show on Facebook at Outreach Radio Chicago. You can follow me everywhere. I'm on Twitter at mmercado2333. We're on YouTube. Subscribe to me at MikeMercado2333. We have really cool videos up there. And we're on SoundCloud. So if you want to listen to us while you're at the gym, driving to work, just look up Michael Mercado and you can see past episodes of Outreach Radio Chicago. Well, summertime is right around the corner, which means a lot of people are getting ready to go away to college for the first time. It's an exciting time, graduations, all this awesome stuff is going on for families, but it's the ugly truth about something we never really like to talk about, and that's how much it costs and the kind of debt students get into, especially around this time of year. And on today's show, we get another great guest who's going to give you some awesome resources so you can research and hopefully get yourself out of certain situations. Joining us today from QuickConsolidations.org, it's Bruce Mesnikoff. Bruce, welcome to the show. How are you, bud?
Oh, fantastic, Mike. Thanks for having me. How are you doing?
It's great. You know what? We're in Chicago. It's not snowing, and the Cubs home opener is about to start. So you know, it's a win-win-win-win for everybody.
Absolutely. Sounds great.
In general, can you just give us a little information about your goal when it comes to help out students?
Sure, absolutely. At our company, the Student Loan Help Center, what we do is we help people who are struggling with their student loans, which is a lot of people out there. Now, there's over $1 trillion worth of this student loan debt, so it's bigger than credit cards. It's bigger than every other debt we have besides mortgages now. So I know it's affecting a lot of people, and a lot of you out there who have student loans are struggling because maybe your payments are a little bit too high, or maybe you've gone into default already and some of the bad things are happening, like they're taking your tax refund check or garnishing your wages, taking money out of your paycheck. There's a lot of things that they do to get this money back. But what we do is we help people to get this debt under control again, get it manageable, because not many people know about it, unfortunately, but there's some great programs out there through the government that are available to everybody and, really help 95% everybody out there who's struggling. Again, the problem is most people just don't seem to know about it. So that's where we come in. We help guide people into the right direction to get this help.
Yeah, and it comes to a point, too, where, nobody's going to go out there and help you pay off $100,000. They want their money also, so they're not going to give you any helping hand on top of it. So you talk about $1 trillion worth of this type of debt. Unbelievable when you think about, you're trying to promote people going to school to better their future, but they're going to spend the next 40 years paying off their debt. What is the average student loan for a college student? I mean, I know the age demographic varies, but in general, what are people looking at when it comes to the average debt?
Well, the average debt now, students graduating with student loan debt, is just over $35,000. Now, that's a lot of money. Back in the day, that'd be a mortgage for a lot of people.
Right.
So $35,000 is a lot, but keep in mind, lots of people, millions, are graduating with debts much, much higher, especially when you go ahead and you get your advanced degree, such as your master's. People are coming out of school with well over $100,000. Many people we see every day. And again, that kind of debt, people graduate, and a lot of people don't get the dream job they were hoping for when they started going to college. And some people have a problem finding any job at all. So that is just a monstrous debt to have hanging over your head when you're just getting ready to start out your professional life.
How did it become such a problem? And we all know colleges are expensive, and the way state schools are always micromanaging their budgets and whatnot. But how does it go from an expense, like obviously an expense, but at one point now we're talking about it's higher than credit cards and mortgages and all this? Like, how did this happen? How did it become such a problem for this country, not just students, this country in general?
Well, these colleges, like you alluded to, these universities, they're beautiful places. If you go to some of these universities now, the campuses, unbelievable, and it costs a lot of money to maintain these, and they're very competitive. They want to get the students in, so they make it nicer. Now, of course, they're going to need to charge more money to keep up with all of this, and most people going to school these days cannot afford to just write a check for their tuition. They're taking out the loans. So what the government has done is continuously raise the amount of money they're going to give to people. So it's kind of a self-feeding cycle. The government keeps giving more money, so the universities can charge more money because people have it, so they charge more, then the government gives more money, and so on and so forth, back and forth. So the debt people are graduating with is going through the roof because they keep borrowing more money. The universities keep raising the tuition because people have the money to pay it now. Now, keep in mind, if they weren't able to borrow so much money, the universities could not possibly charge it because, again, most people cannot afford to pay cash to go to these colleges. They have to take out the loan. So with the money readily available, and this money is being lent out indiscriminately too, I may add, meaning that they don't do a credit check on you before you take this money out. If you had horrible credit or no credit or great credit, you're still going to get the money. Whether you work, have a job, don't have any hope of getting a job, they don't care. They're going to give you the money. Now, the flip side of that, it's kind of the deal with the devil's side, is that you're going to have to pay this back, and the government has incredible powers to collect this money from you, a lot more than any of your other types of debts, like your credit cards and personal loans and so forth. The government has incredible tools at its disposal. So, again, it's a bad recipe. People are getting in a lot of trouble. Remember, when you're borrowing this money, you're generally 18, 19 years old, not a whole bunch of world experience. Some people just see all that money available and they grab as much as they could get, and we're starting to see the results of it now, unfortunately.
What's one of the more frustrating parts? Because we're talking about this vicious circle that you see so many times on a daily basis. For you personally, like, you see it all the time. What's more frustrating for you? Is it the fact that you see young adults getting taken advantage of, or not knowing exactly what they're going into, the state schools themselves or the private schools themselves, charging all this money because they know people are getting them without any of this background check? What is the most frustrating part for a professional standpoint, on your point of view?
Well, the most frustrating part is seeing the kids really borrow as much money as they could get and use it for all sorts of things that they really don't need it for and it shouldn't be used for. It's well documented. People are getting thousands of dollars more than they need for school and doing stuff like buying a new car or, it's college. There's a lot of partying going on with it also.
Yep.
Now, again, a lot of it comes back to the parents. They need to educate the children. You can only count on the institutions to do so much. So it really comes down to the parents. And if you start planning early, when I say planning early, I mean parents can start planning for their children's education as soon as their kids are born. There's different sorts of prepaid funds. There's investment accounts, all sorts of things. When someone's about to go to school, there's scholarships available, grants, lots of different options out there available. So, at least if you have to borrow money, you can borrow the least amount, not just automatically grab the most money that you can possibly get.
Bruce Mesnikoff joins us today on Outreach Radio Chicago. He's coming from us from the Student Loan Help Center. If you guys have, want some information, you guys could definitely check that out. They do some awesome stuff. Also, the quickconsolidation.org. Bruce, you're bringing in a really interesting point. I wonder, what do you think is the biggest mistake? Because you're talking about taking more money than they need. What do you think is the biggest amateur mistake that anybody makes when they're at this point? Like you're saying, all the partying and the stress and all that, you're not thinking straight. What is a big mistake that parents and first-time students with parents make when it comes to this kind of stuff?
Well, there's a couple things. First of all, again, it's just borrowing all the money they can get, taking all the money that's possibly available, and just thinking in the back of their minds, it's going to be fine. I'm going to get a great job. I'm going to be able to pay this off. It won't be a problem. You can't have that attitude about it. Just like when you're further into your life and your career, you have to be careful about taking on debt. But I'd have to say the number one biggest mistake and the biggest piece of advice that I give to people is that don't ignore the situation after you have these loans. A lot of people are going into default on these loans. That means that you haven't paid in 9 months, you go into default. And when that happens, that's when the government has all these powers, such as adding 20+% onto your loan as a penalty when you go into default, raising your interest rate to over 18%, garnishing your wages, taking your tax refund checks. They have incredible power. And this happens to people because they do ignore the situation. They let it get bad. They don't think that there's hope. Understandably, it's a lot of debt, and some people are just not sure how they're going to pay it. But there is hope for everybody out there. There's income-based repayment plans, which assure that you get a payment that you can afford, not based on how much money you borrowed, but what you can afford. There's forgiveness plans for those who work in public service that can forgive big parts of your loan. There's a lot of great programs out there, government programs too. And as great a job as the government did at putting these things together, they did equally as horrible a job at publicizing them. Nobody seems to know about them. That's why it feels hopeless to people out there. But there are programs. So back to your question, my number one biggest piece of advice is don't ignore the situation. Be proactive. Get out there. And there are great solutions.
And you were just talking about, all the nasty stuff that the United States government can do. And like you said, they're great at doing one thing and lacking on the other side. But what is then the percentage then of, or like what are we talking about? How many students put themselves in that situation or feel like there's no other option than to just completely ignore their debt?
Well, recent reports show that 10% plus are already in default, with millions and millions more heading towards default. In other words, already delinquent and struggling with their loans, heading towards this default. So it's a horrible problem right now. And again, a lot of it can be avoided by just facing the problem, getting involved with some of these government programs that are available to everybody. They're available to everybody with federal loans. Again, people just don't know about them. So with the Student Loan Help Center, what we do is we take a look at people's situation and see if some of these programs can help you out and get you pointed in the right direction. And I recently co-authored a book called The Ultimate Guide to Student Loans, which I recommend to people because that will help you from the beginning as we spoke about planning for this day when you're going to need to take out loans. And it helps you so you can borrow the least amount, helps you find scholarships, and then takes you through, after you have the loans, these programs I'm speaking about, so you can avoid the trouble and not worry about default. And if you do get in trouble, get out of it. So the book I recommend to people is as early as you can get it. Again, even if you just have a small child, it's not too early to start thinking about, because these are big expenses, and who knows how much it's going to cost in 15 or 16 or 17 years from now if it keeps going at the current rate. So The Ultimate Guide to Student Loans is a great book available on Amazon or at the ultimateguidetostudentloans.com. And it will help most people out there looking to plan ahead.
The programs you guys are running over at the Student Loan Help Center, I mean, it's some pretty cool stuff. What seems to be a more, I wouldn't say popular, but what seems to be a program, in a quick a quick summary, like, what do you guys tend to do for, let's say for myself, I'm coming up to you and I'm like, Bruce, I owe $15,000. I don't know what to do with myself. I'm not making enough money. What is kind of the process that you would take me through?
Most people benefit from these income-based repayment plans. Again, that means you're going to have a payment that's based on what you can afford. And each year, they're going to reevaluate how much money you make, your financial situation, and your payment's going to adjust either up if you're doing a little better, or it's going to adjust down if you're struggling a little bit. So by getting involved in this income-based repayment plan, even if you have $50,000 or $100,000 worth of debt, if you're making very little money, you're going to still have a very, very small payment that you can still afford. And these income-based repayment plans are really saving the day for millions of people, and they're available through these government consolidation programs. So we would recommend to you, most likely, to get involved in one of these government consolidation programs. And again, the income-based repayments are just one of the features of it, but by far the most popular benefit that helps the most people.
In some cases, though, have you ever at least come across times where, you know, the good and the bad, where you guys weren't able to help out as much as you guys really would have liked to, and vice versa? Have you guys been able to, you know, I don't want to say, you know, magically erase it, but magically erase people's student debt? Like, you know,
Sure.
Is there a lot of like back and forth with it?
Sure, absolutely. A lot of people, if they're struggling financially, they're not making a lot of money, when the government determines how much you can afford, they go primarily off two factors. One, how much money you make, and two, how many dependents you have, because they know the more dependents you have, the less discretionary money you're going to have. So if somebody's struggling, not making a lot of money, and has a few dependents, they many times will be able to get a payment of zero, believe it or not. And each year they'll reevaluate the situation, and that payment could stay at zero for the life of their entire loan. Where
Wow.
at some point they actually forgive the entire balance for that person. So there are some cases where they do completely wipe out the entire loan after a certain point. And again, it's a fantastic program, and the unfortunate part about all this is that not enough people know about it. So people will go into default who don't need to. They'll stay in default longer than they have to, and they'll lose these tax refund checks, which we know everybody needs that money now. When people get a tax refund check these days, it's not like in the old days you might get it and go on a family vacation or
Right.
put in a swimming pool, right?
Yeah.
Now you need it as much as you need every other paycheck. It's
Yeah.
usually accounted for, right?
It's
So,
already counting money, yeah.
you know, yeah, exactly. So when they take these $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 refund checks from people and put it towards their loans, it's just as devastating as these people getting their paychecks garnished 15% every time they get paid. You know, it's just as devastating as all of these other things that are happening. So you can get, if you've already feel like you've lost hope because you're in default already, because you didn't know about these programs, this program will also give those people a fresh start. It'll take you out of default, get you set up on a low payment. It's kind of a get-out-of-jail-free card that you could use one time. If you're already defaulted, they'll take you out of default one time, start you over, kind of like hitting the reset button, and get you on a fresh start. So there's hope. Don't lose hope out there. Many, many people who call us just feel that there's no hope left for them. They don't know what to do. They're at the end of the rope. But this program really helps them out a lot, the government consolidation program. And this is, I recommend people to give us a call, go to our website, go Google it, and there's a ton of information out there. It's a government program. But the one thing you don't want to do is ignore it, because unlike some of your other debts out there, it's not going away. It's exempt from bankruptcy, meaning that if you file bankruptcy, which will make a lot of your other debts go away, this will not go away. It does not discharge in bankruptcy. It's very tough. So don't think of that as an option if you're out there. Don't ignore it. There's a great program out there, this consolidation one. And believe it or not, as hopeless as it may feel for some people, this will give you a fresh start, get you back on your feet, and make your debt manageable again.
Bruce Mesnikoff joins us today on Outreach Radio Chicago. He's giving all of us some awesome information. I know this time of year it's really tough for families, for students. It's stressful. Some kids feel like they're never going to be able to go to the school they want to. Some families feel they're never going to be able to send kids to their dream schools, and there's just so many tough things for what's supposed to be such a great time. And if you're having any issues or you have any questions, The Ultimate Guide to Student Loans is the book. Really good stuff. You can dial the number 855-258-0850. Go to the website quickconsolidation.org. And, of course, you've already heard everything about the Student Loan Help Center, and there's so much more programs that can help out anybody. And while we still have you for a few more moments, Bruce, I know you're crazy busy around this time of year especially. Really quickly, what is the ultimate goal of the the help center, the website, the book. What is in your heart of heart? What is your goal at the end of this all?
My goal is to help all these people struggling to regain control of this debt and make it manageable again, because it's affecting a lot of other facets of people's lives now. When this debt becomes uncontrollable, now you can't buy a house. People are putting off mortgages. They're afraid to start their own businesses because this debt is hanging over them. It's affecting a lot of other facets of their life. So if you can get this debt under control, be confident that it's manageable, then you can move on with a lot of other areas of your life that are a lot much more enjoyable than dealing with some student loans. So that's our goal, is to really help people get this under control, let them know it's doable, it's manageable, don't give up hope. You definitely can get back control of this.
The book is The Ultimate Guide to Student Loans. You could dial 855-258-0850. Go to www.quickconsolidation.org, and you can do more research, guys. I'm telling you, this is an option. If you guys are looking for some help, check out the Student Loan Help Center. Some awesome stuff. Bruce Mesnikoff, you've been awesome today on Outreach Radio Chicago. I mean, it's been fantastic. I know so many family and friends and students are going to listen to this, and it's just great to know that, sometimes when you're in a process like this, especially when you're sending somebody to school, and I know you see it all the time, it's stressful and it's hard, and it feels like everybody's against you. The bank wants to take money, the school wants to take money, and it's great. It's really nice to know that there's a group of people still out there trying to help out families and students. Do you have any last words for anybody listening today from Chicago or anywhere around the world listening online? Do you have any last advice, any parting ways after being such a great guest today?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mike. And absolutely, again, I just reiterate that don't ignore the problem. It will only get worse. There's great help out there for you. Be proactive, take care of it. And, I want to thank you very much for having me on today. Appreciate it. And hopefully we can help a lot of you people out there that are struggling right now with this.
Well, you always are going to have a home here on Outreach Radio Chicago, and we'll definitely we'll definitely be in contact for all our listeners listening today. When we're on the other half of the school year, when the school year starts and people are stressing out in graduations, you're a great resource. You guys are doing awesome stuff. It's the Student Loan Help Center. The book is The Ultimate Guide to Student Loans. Dial 1-855-258-0850 or go online at www.quickconsolidation.org. Bruce Mesnikoff, thank you so much, buddy. You've been awesome.
Thank you, Mike. Have a great day.
You too, and we will be right back on Outreach Radio Chicago. Do you want to help the fight against hunger? You can this Friday, April 15th at the Little Street Arts Center in Ravenswood. Hosted by First Slice Pie Cafe, 4401 North Ravenswood, Chicago, Illinois, it's Empty Bowls from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. You receive an empty bowl like many plates across the country. But by the end of the night, it is filled. The donations go towards their outreach program that currently serves up to 600 meals a week to those in need. Each meal is served in a handcrafted bowl made by local potters and artisans. The bowls are $25, and each guest can take their bowl home as a reminder of their personal impact in supporting Chicago's fight against hunger. There will also be a silent auction. That's Friday, April 15th at the Little Street Arts Center in Ravenswood. Hosted by First Slice Pie Cafe, 4401 North Ravenswood, Chicago, Illinois, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Empty Bowls, helping the fight against hunger. Hey, big thank you to Bruce Mesnikoff for joining us today on Outreach Radio Chicago. If you have any more questions about how you could get your student loan fixed, just visit www.quickconsolidation.org or dial 855-258-0850. The book is The Ultimate Guide to Student Loans, and also look up the Student Loan Help Center. I know it's so tough, guys. I'm a graduate myself. I have my own student loans. I know how tough it is to pay it off. I know a lot of you who are listening today also graduated school, have these degrees that we work really hard for, and you're also trying to support a family, pay bills. You shouldn't be punished for getting an education. It's one of the craziest backward things in this country. But hopefully, with guys like Bruce Mesnikoff over at the Student Loan Help Center, we're getting past all that. Thank you all for joining us today. You can follow me everywhere in the universe. I'm on Facebook, just like the show at Facebook at Outreach Radio Chicago. Follow me on Twitter at mmercado2333. We're on YouTube. Subscribe to me at Mike Mercado2333. We do movie reviews. We do wrestling reviews. We do music reviews. We put up past shows of Outreach Radio Chicago. So please subscribe to us over there. And if you're working out, you're on the car, go to SoundCloud. Just look up Michael Mercado and download all the episodes of Outreach Radio Chicago and some of our reviews and interviews as well. Thank you so much again to Bruce Mesnikoff. Please, guys, quickconsolidation.org. 855-258-0850. The book is The Ultimate Guide to Student Loans, the Student Loan Help Center. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you next time on Outreach Radio Chicago. Take us home, Hav. Do you want to help the fight against hunger? You can this Friday, April 15th at the Little Street Art Center in Ravenswood. Hosted by First Slice Pie Cafe, 4401 North Ravenswood, Chicago, Illinois, it's Empty Bowls from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. You receive an empty bowl like many plates across the country. But by the end of the night, it is filled. The donations go towards their outreach program that currently serves up to 600 meals a week to those in need. Each meal is served in a handcrafted bowl made by local potters and artisans. The bowls are $25, and each guest can take their bowl home as a reminder of their personal impact in supporting Chicago's fight against hunger. There will also be a silent auction. That's Friday, April 15th at the Little Street Art Center in Ravenswood. Hosted by First Slice Pie Cafe, 4401 North Ravenswood, Chicago, Illinois, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Empty Bowls, helping the fight against hunger. Do you want to help the fight against hunger? You can this Friday, April 15th at the Little Street Art Center in Ravenswood. Hosted by First Slice Pie Cafe, 4401 North Ravenswood, Chicago, Illinois, it's Empty Bowls from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. You receive an empty bowl like many plates across the country. But by the end of the night, it is filled. The donations go towards their outreach program that currently serves up to 600 meals a week to those in need. Each meal is served in a handcrafted bowl made by local potters and artisans. The bowls are $25, and each guest can take their bowl home as a reminder of their personal impact in supporting Chicago's fight against hunger. There will also be a silent auction. That's Friday, April 15th at the Little Street Art Center in Ravenswood. Hosted by First Slice Pie Cafe, 4401 North Ravenswood, Chicago, Illinois, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Empty Bowls, helping the fight against hunger. Hey everybody, Mike Mercado here from Outreach Radio Chicago, and I just want to thank you all for all the support you have given us on the brand new show. If someone you know wants to get the word out on a fundraiser, charity, or foundation in your local community, please send us an email at outreachradiochicago@gmail.com or send me one personally at mmercado@newswebradio.net. Or you can tweet me at mmercado2333, and don't forget to like our Facebook page at Outreach Radio Chicago. From right here at the studios, we'll see you next time on Outreach Radio Chicago.